Welcome everybody to another 4K limited edition release. We've had several of these in the last month or so, and yeah, this is probably my favourite of the bunch, and it is 2002's Dog Soldiers, released by Second Sight, who are a fantastic Blu-ray label, and yeah, this is not only on Blu-ray but it's also on 4K, like I said, and yeah, directed by Neil Marshall, who did the really rather fantastic The Descent and Doomsday. It's an action horror film clocking in 105 minutes long, and yeah, stars Sean Pertwee, who we've already talked about in Event Horizon, which was also a 4K limited edition version not long ago, and it also stars Kevin McKidd, who was in the likes of Trainspotting, and Liam Cunningham, who's been in various roles, not major roles, but various roles regardless. And yeah, it's about a squad of British soldiers who are on training in the lonesome Scottish wilderness, who find a wounded Special Forces captain and the remains of his team. As they encounter zoologist Megan, it turns out that the werewolves are active in the region. And yeah, they have to prepare for some action, as there will be a full moon tonight. So yeah, werewolves are out in a full moon, obviously. So yeah, when I first watched this, I had no idea which side I would fall on with this, because while I love director Neil Marshall's The Descent, I was a little bit more ambivalent about Doomsday, which I was a little bit meh about in a lot of ways. But thankfully, this is more in line with the quality of the former rather than the latter. As yeah, it combines both the action and horror genres beautifully. The cinematography elevates each scene, and yeah, to make them both tense and entertaining. The cast is great. It is well paced. The combination of practical and special effects are really well done. You've got some really nice miniatures, for instance, in some parts. And yeah, the score is decent, the violence is effective, it does a good job at characterisation, and it is engrossing throughout. Also really well like the Scottish wilderness as a setting. It's not something we often see. And yeah, this physical release has been given a really good treatment, and yeah, the 4K, as you'd expect from Second Sight, after the likes of The Witch, and what else have I got in 4K from them? And The Guest, for instance, both of which are fantastic in 4K, and yeah, this is equally as good. So yeah, you get different artwork on the actual case for the film, as you can see, and yeah, there's the 4K and the Blu-ray, and yeah, you get a really rather nice big booklet with this as well. As you can see, super thick. It's how many pages? 112 pages, which is pretty significant, quite frankly. So yeah, and it goes through all sorts basically. So we've got the likes of the cast and the crew, obviously, When the Walls Collapse by Alison Pierce, I Don't Need a Man of Conscience by Anya Stanley, The Dog's Bollocks, The Tenderness of Male Friendship by Zoe Rose Smith, Dogfight, Confronting War in the Werewolf Film by Craig Ian Mann. Then you got behind the scenes, so like some pictures and stuff like that. An interview with Neil Marshall by Matthew Thrift. Interview by David E. Allen, who's the producer on Dog Soldiers, and acknowledgements and production credits. So yeah, this is a truly fantastic film. So there's a picture from the film there. That's pretty early on, to be fair. And yeah, behind the scenes. So yeah, behind the scenes there, all the cast and the crew. So yeah, it looks like a shoot that was really rather quite fun, especially given that guy who's wounded and is smiling his head off. And then you got the werewolves there, as you can see, not CGI, practical effects. So yeah, really well done booklet this. I can look forward to reading through all of it. And then you get a bunch of art cards as well. So yeah, some of these are already on the artwork of the box or the case. So yeah, there's the box artwork, which, like I said, is fantastic. Really rather brilliant original artwork, just like this one is as well on the case of the discs. And then we've got shots from the film. So yeah, it's mostly male dominated cast, which I don't think would fly nowadays, but regardless, that doesn't really impact the film given how great the cast actually is and everything else I've already stated about it. So yeah, and the werewolves look absolutely fantastic, and the way the editing is done, it really does encapsulate the film, the werewolves themselves. So yeah, this is a fantastic release. I really do highly recommend it. I wish I'd have seen this first time on 4K, because that first watch was pretty spectacular. It's easily one of my favourite first time watches of this year. I think I watched it this year for the first time, but either way, easily one of my favourite first time watches in the last few years at least. And yeah, that's the rest of the box. So side there, and there's the cottage that they end up hiding out for the majority of the film, in fact. So yeah, another superb release from Second Sight. They are continually knocking it out the park. I've not bought everything from them, granted. I wasn't too fussed about Drive because I'm not completely bowled over by that film, but in terms of the films that I actually do like and love in this case, because I definitely give this 4.5 stars out of 5, they're doing a bang up job, and yeah, really looking forward to seeing what else they're going to come out with. We obviously do think that they're coming out with The Hitcher in maybe a month or two time, which I really am looking forward to, because that is easily one of my favourite films from the 80s, and this is one of my favourite films from the 2000s. So they, yeah, really looking forward to what else they're going to come out with, because obviously there are other films that they haven't announced that they're going to come out with in the future, but either way, I imagine whatever they choose will be at least a good release. Even if it's not going to be one for me, it will undoubtedly be for other people, and that's what matters at the end of the day, variety. And yeah, Second Sight have really done a great variety of films up until now. So yeah, nonetheless, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.